Today, I want to share a clip from one of my mentorship sessions. This is actually part of a small group mentorship that I run where I help very small group setting artists to develop their skills, work on their portfolios, or really just work on their pitfalls as artists. My name is Josh Vega. I've been a senior concept artist in the video game, animation, and film industry for over a decade. Now, in this clip, we're going to be talking about the storytelling part in environment design. How do you bring story elements into your environments and scene? How do you make design choices that actually communicate a story without adding any characters? And so this is something that really separates a good concept from a great concept and usable concept. If you want more info about my mentorship, make sure that you check out the link in the description below. It's going to be a very group setting. I run about 5 people per group. It's a great way to really have some one-on-one time to develop your skills. So let's get started with this clip.
This is just some concept. Let me open actually Pure Ref here just so you can see it. I'll show you some. And again, this is a different IP and like setting, right? But I think you could bring the same feeling with your theme, which I think it will be super awesome. So this is from Mouse Guard. I'll say here.
Yeah, this reminds me of like Rockwaller.
This is from Mouse Guard. This one too, but also this is Mouse Guard, right? And we also did actually at Magic, we did Bloomborough recently, which is same scale setting. And this is just mostly illustration, but just so you can see the scale and the end product of it. And so like these are a little bit two different styles, right? But it has the same, I think it has almost the same feeling when you go with that scale, right? That I think potentially you can apply. Like if you don't know, so every time I start a project, right? So this is a project that maybe you're starting out. I mean, you did this just a couple of years ago, right? But if I were to ask you, where do you see this project fitting? In what end product specifically you see this product fitting? What would you say?
Oh man.
So that tells me that you didn't think about it, right?
Yeah, I didn't really think about it. I know it's important. Yeah.
Yes. And so every time I set up project, you don't have to maybe figure it out right, like at the first thing, but I think the earlier the better, because then you can start thinking strategically about what you need to do in order to gear that or your pieces or your imagery towards that end product, right? So it is different for me to create concept for a movie like this than for a card game, right? And so I think that will be one of the first things that we have to figure out, right? Pick a sort of like an end product that you have in mind that maybe this could be in. It could be like an actual animated movie. It could be, whatever it is that you want. It really doesn't matter what it is, but it's really going to help us to define and guide us on what sort of imagery we're going to need in order to develop that world, So I think that would be one of the first things. In terms of the idea in itself, like I think it's awesome. I think there's like endless potential things that we can explore world building wise. Like there's some really fun stuff. Like you were talking about the texture thing. Like I think that's a great detail that we can have. And I can show you how to do that technically, but I think that's a great, like the way you were thinking about that, I think it's a great approach, because that's going to bring a lot of thinking and storytelling and texture separation and layering of different textures and all that. And also I was looking at this one here, like how cool would it be? Like you have this sort of like the same concept that you have for the other one, but maybe the other parts of this city, like the bottom, like the base or the base structure or the foundation structures is actually like corals, right? And so they build the sand castles on top of the coral, so you have this nice grading of texture, and you can see like maybe you can see here, you know, some of the coral popping out of the sand.
Oh, like a frame almost.
Like a what?
Like it's a part of the frame or something.
Yeah, exactly. So they use the coral since it's like a more of a solid thing, as their foundation, and then they sort of like build. So like if you have a like if you have a piece of tower or something, right? Maybe this bottom half is like coral. And it could be like a really textury coral, right? But you will see that. So maybe the coral is like this, right? But they build on top the sand part. And so you can see pieces of the coral walking out very, very organically throughout the construction, right? But then you have the sand part of it on the top. And so, but that could be maybe the outer parts because that's more solid and structural and it's closer to the water. But then maybe when you go inside, it's more sand. Or maybe they use like shells like what you have here in order to create foundational parts of it, you know, shells that are, you know, scattered around and stuff. So there's a lot of potential to just world build this whole place. Now when you start bringing this sort of items in, now that starts bringing another, you know, key story element. Like, do people come here often, right? Like, what's the story behind all that? And so we'll have to be careful about this particular thing, in terms of the story wise. But I think there's a lot of awesome potential for this to be a great, awesome project, to be honest.
And so this is how I approach storytelling in your environment. Every design choice that you make should communicate something about the world that you're building, the people that live there, or what happened in that space. If you want this type of feedback on your projects, I'm opening spot and gathering info for anybody that is interested in my mentorships on the link below. We do weekly sessions, private, very, very, very small group. This is a place where you and I can actually dive into your work and me helping you with your pitfalls and anything that you want to work on as an artist. I'll make sure I put all the links and information down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.